Good afternoon, everybody. You're very welcome here this afternoon for the launch of the National Age-Friendly Business Recognition Scheme. We're delighted to be joined here by special friends and guests. I'd like to welcome Minister Damien English and obviously our Cathaoirleach and Chief Executive from our local authority here this afternoon. I suppose this is a strange event in as much as that we're doing it in a blended format because of the world we're living in at the minute. However, we've been very, very blessed with the technology and what it has allowed us to do. So, just in terms of housekeeping for this afternoon, can we ask you all to switch off your phones? And for those that are participating online, we will have an opportunity, I suppose, to do some interaction later on. So again, just welcome to everybody. I don't want to do too much of the intros at this stage because we have a very, very good lineup this afternoon and some very robust information and through our speeches. But I would like to mention a few special guests here this afternoon. First of all, we're delighted to have Kitty here. Kitty is our national chairperson of older people's networks across the country. Kitty, we know it's your first time venturing out of your county with your double vaccinations, and we're adhering strictly to our social distancing. But I just think it's absolutely fantastic to see you here today for this event, and I'm absolutely delighted. I'd like to welcome Ian Talbot as well from Chambers Ireland. I'll give their full intro. Obviously, we have directors of services and guests from around the country and colleagues of the shared service. So without further ado, and to give you the background and the context to this very exciting event here today, I'm going to call on our Chief Executive, Jackie Maguire from Meath County Council. Jackie is the I suppose not only the Chief Executive of Meath County Council, but the host of Age Friendly Ireland. And without that hosting on behalf of the country, we wouldn't have made the progress we have today. She's also the chairperson of the National Advisory Group and has a number of remits around her role in the support of ageing in Ireland. So, Jackie, we thank you in advance for your championship in this today and look forward to hearing from you. Welcome, Jackie.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Catherine said, it's a very strange faces. I know I'm talking to so many out there, but yet I can only see some people here in front of us very socially distant. But I suppose as Chief Executive of Meath County Council, it's a great pleasure for me to be able to speak here. And at the outset, I want to welcome Minister Damien English, who took time out to be here with us today. Again, as Catherine said, to Ian Talbot, who's also his first time outside of the big city of Dublin, so that's great. To Kitty, it's a great pleasure. Kitty, it's the first time I've met you since you've taken over in person in the role as chair of the Older People's Councils, and it's great that there's an element of getting back to how we used to do business, which is great. I also want to acknowledge our business advisor, Cara Pharmacy, who's over there, without whose hard work we wouldn't have been here. And in particular, I want to thank our own Cathaoirleach, Councillor David Gilroy, who took time to be here with us today. He's a great advocate of the age-friendly, and we were in Athboy just on Monday launching, I suppose, an age-friendly business there, which is a new medical centre under Pádraig Staunton's ownership in the old McElhenny's. For anyone who's online that would have known McElhenny's for I suppose our shopping, which a lot of us have to try and get back to doing. So it's great. So David, thank you very much for doing that. Like I was supposed to say at the outset, business community have always been a critical part of the National Age-Friendly Programme. Around the country, in all of the counties, all of the local chambers of commerce, the business representatives, they all sit on the age-friendly alliances, and they lead out on their own actions that are all set down in each of the county's local strategies. And all of that work, as most of you will know, it's all aimed at creating more sustainable, age-friendly communities where older people can participate in the social and the economic and public life, enabled by the built and social environment that's around us all. The Age-Friendly Business Recognition Programme has been running now for actually over 10 years in lots of towns and villages across the country. And quite a number of businesses are already participating in the programme, and they are ably helped and supported by the local age-friendly programmes, and all of those being led out at the local authority level. But since last year, Age Friendly Ireland has also taken a very national focus by working with some of the national chains. And I suppose they have really, embraced it, which has really been exciting to see. But none of that would have happened, as I say, without the help of our age-friendly business principal advisor. That's a big, long title, Orla. But Orla, who's done Trojan work in this area over the past, I suppose, 18 months, really. I suppose at national level, we engaged with a number of the national chains to enable them to adapt the National Age-Friendly Business Recognition Programme, using the four-step process that's involved. And I'm delighted to be able to say that to date, 8 of the national chains have completed this process, and I suppose that's the reason why we're here today, to formally present them with their official charter of age-friendly recognition. And I'm delighted to be able to say who they are. A staggering 52 branches of Bank of Ireland, the Dalata Hotel Group, 35 hotels, whom hopefully will very soon be full of us all, including all of those of us in the age-friendly bracket. And Vodafone, 24 stores in Vodafone. The Cara Pharmacy chain, 13 stores are participating. FBD Insurance have rolled it out to 34 of their branches. 6-member First Credit Unions, Kilkenny Design and Specsavers. So today we really want to very much acknowledge your commitment by all of you, and indeed all of the smaller businesses who have recently participated as well in the age-friendly business recognition programme. I suppose a lot of you did that to coincide with the opening of the retail and business sector. We very much appreciate you taking on board the age-friendly business, and I suppose recognising that as a critical and a vital part of actually what you do. For a lot of you at this stage, you will know, but the programme gives tips to businesses in terms of whether that be the space or the layout of your shop or your office. I suppose very much so the need for good lighting, whether that be reduced maybe background noise, and I suppose for all of us at every age, clear signage is very important. And another aspect that's important for the retailers, but it's not just for retailers anymore, we're finding now very much, because we're now living in the outdoors, it's obviously the availability of toilets and public toilets. And I think very much the programme allows and gives business an understanding of consulting with their customer, and particularly the older customer. The programme also provides resource material for the businesses. An important part of the process is where the businesses commit to a number of actions to make their business more age-friendly. And they can range from, some of them I've mentioned already, but some from very low-cost measures, whether that's printing the menus in larger print, or making some seating available outside, or maybe to more extensive changes that they might have to do, whether that's adaptations to make the buildings more accessible. So, and there's also, within the programme, there's also an emphasis on the training of staff, I suppose, to be more maybe alert or aware of the older customers' issues. And that might be whether it's reduced mobility, whether it's reduced vision or hearing impairment, and trains, I suppose, the staff to understand how to be able to communicate with the older person in a different way, so that you can, as you do to most of all of your customers, not most, provide a very good quality customer service. And I'm delighted that even some of the local businesses are adopting our national templates for the age-friendly parking, and that very much improves accessibility to shops and to the services for the older customer. And again, we're really delighted that a number of businesses in your own space, in your own private area, have taken on this initiative. So I suppose, thankfully, we'll all be saying we've reached a turning point in this pandemic, and we do all look forward to for a very positive summer and getting back to the retail experience and to being outdoors and engaging with people. But I suppose in doing that, we are all aware that there are still a lot of us quite anxious about returning to those public spaces. And I know in consultation with our national network of older people's councils earlier this month, it was flagged that some members are feeling slightly apprehensive, particularly where you would have spent months of cocooning or just being, I suppose, in your own space. I know myself, I'm a little bit wary when you're going out. It's how are we going to react, and how are we going to be together yet still be apart? So we're especially pleased that the business community at this time has taken on to ensure that the older customer will be, I suppose, welcomed very much back into that new retail space once this pandemic phase has moved on. And look, again, I just want to congratulate all of the businesses for coming on board. It really demonstrates your commitment to the older customer by participating in the programme. But of course, the older customer has always got deep pockets to spend. So they, in their turn, are going to really add to your return to business. So look, to thank you once again, and indeed to wish you all well in what you have taken on. And look, finally, I just want to again thank you all for participating, for being out there. Thank the Minister again for being here, and also again to thank Ian and all of the Chambers Ireland across the country, because you have been such a strong advocate and supporter of the programme for the past, since our inception. Ian sits with us on the National Advisory Group, and without his support, we really would be, so we're indebted to you, Ian, for that continuous support. Again, thank you, Orla, for what you have done, and indeed to all the programme managers at local level out there who really do work with their local businesses to drive the age-friendly business programme forward. I want to thank particularly, like every event that happens, these things don't happen just overnight or by a click of your finger. So I want to thank my own staff in the age-friendly shared service. I'm not going to name them all because I don't want to leave anybody out, but they've put a huge effort into making today happen in the programme in general, which is growing from strength to strength. But I do also want to thank all the staff in corporate service here in Meath County Council for making all of that happen too. We all work really well together, which is great. I think it's a sign of what we have here today. And look, again, I want to especially thank and welcome Kitty here, all the way from Longford. But it's a great pleasure to have you at this. Without, we really would have missed it if it wasn't be here. So again, to all the businesses, thank you and well done.
Thank you, Jackie. Our next speaker is Ian. As Jackie said, he's a member of the National Advisory Group, and I really think from the WHO perspective there's a domain around civic participation and employment, of which age-friendly business is one element, but there's a lot of other opportunities to explore in that domain, and it's something we're delighted that Minister English will be, in his current role and his current remit, will be working with us on, because we feel now at this partnership with Chambers, taking Orla in, we've got a lot of scope now to really support older people. The pandemic has taught us a lot of things in terms of age-friendly business and I suppose older working and everything else. So we've a lot of progress to make. So I suppose today is a stage in that process, and we're delighted that Ian is here from the business perspective, and welcome Ian, and thanks very much for, I suppose, your partnership approach over the last 10 years. So welcome Ian.
Thank you very much, Catherine and Jackie. So, Gahirloch, Minister, Kitty, great to see you. To elected members we may have in the sparse crowd, and to everyone online, and delighted that, in a way, sometimes we've learned in the last year that these events can actually bring a much greater audience than we might have expected otherwise. So there are plenty of good things that have come out of this as well. Chambers have been part of this journey from the early days of the Ageing Well network, which actually started in the noughties, to the point where we got a couple of county councils involved in pilot programmes, to where we are now with every county council in the country signed up and actively engaged and programme managers in place. It's been a remarkable achievement all round. And again, we couldn't have done this without the strength of the local authority presence on the ground in this country and all they do in their local community. I'm delighted to represent chambers of commerce across the country at today's launch. We've 40 affiliated chambers, and we're very much adopting the same approach of an incremental pattern of engagement here, getting those chambers in operation and online with this programme. And that engagement with this programme is really, really important to us. While we are a business organisation and ultimately our members are looking to be successful in their chosen businesses and fields, we are also embedded in our local communities. Age Friendly is a win-win for everybody. As we emerge from this awful pandemic, our vaccination programme is getting our older people, and I have to include myself in that now, back out into our society. And hopefully, Jackie, they have money to spend, as you suggested, and hopefully other people do. We'll come back to that in a minute. But isn't it great to see that their interests and needs are being specifically addressed by the business community as part of this programme as well? So that's great to see and great progress being made. And I want to commend local government here too, overall, for everything they've done and are continuing to do to address the dramatically changed demographic impact of the pandemic, and indeed the current challenge of preparing us for the outdoor summer that lies ahead of us, which I think started yesterday or the day before, so let's hope that keeps going. And perhaps many more people will have a much greater appreciation of what local government does day in, day out, now that they've been at home for most of the last 18 months and so much more exposed to what's happening in their vicinity, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, than maybe they previously were when they were weekend engaged with their local authority and not much else. At Chambers, we're also very strong supporters of the programme for government's commitment to town centres first. We think it's really, really important that we find out how to build properly for the future all our urban centres, not just our big cities. So that's a really important programme for us, and we'll be getting right behind that. And we've been looking to assist already with such initiatives such as our Places Matter guide and our top 10 tips for designing outdoor living spaces that we created a few weeks ago in conjunction with the RIAI. Those are available on our website and well worth a look. With Minister English here as well, I really want to acknowledge the work of central government during this time. It's really hard to believe that this crisis was only starting to emerge and hadn't really hit us here as we went to the polls. And effectively, the crisis was managed in the first few months by a caretaker government. And then we got a government in place, and it's not been easy, and it's very easy to chuck rocks at people who are doing their best. But the level of support given to business throughout that period of time across the board has been fantastic and has helped many businesses to stay afloat and keep the lights on and keep the hope there. So at this stage, there's every reason to be optimistic that we're through the worst of this and we can get out there with government support. And the extraordinary level of resources and I imagine brain space that have gone into this has really been all-consuming, I imagine. And we hope that we're very well placed as an economy to recover, because remembering back to the last crisis we had, small open economies, we said it in the crisis, small open economies will recover fastest. And here we are again, small open economy. There's nearly a worrying figure released this morning that our GDP of the first 3 months of this year went up by 11.8%. Now, we know we can't fully trust GDP, but it suggests in there that Ireland is doing very well very quickly again, and that wouldn't have happened without the help of everybody in society, central government, local government, and businesses and communities that have really put their shoulder to the wheel to get us through this crisis. And it is very important that our politicians can get past this crisis and get back to focusing on the issues that the last election was actually fought on, which really haven't gone away. And we really need to get the focus on those. So this progress is really important. Looking at the future as well, we should be hearing more and more about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. There's a lot more to do than just climate change, which tends to take people's focus. Climate change is just one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. The work we're doing in Age Friendly ties into many of the other 17, such as good health and well-being and sustainable cities and communities. Chambers have taken a leadership role globally on supporting those goals. We've actually got observer status at the United Nations in recognition of that. In Ireland, we're actively seeking to promote the goals across our members and to provide them with tools and resources to make progress. One of those goals is reducing inequality. And this brings to mind that we won't be fully out of the woods on COVID until developing nations have high vaccination rates and the risk of variants dramatically reduces. So vaccine equity is going to become really important from here. And as we get, isn't it great that we've got more than 50% of our adult population now with their first vaccine? So we're making great progress. But at some point, we're going to have to start focusing with the rest of the developed world on making sure that the population in developing countries also get access to these fantastic vaccines. But you know, we are where we are, so we are looking after our own population, although the European Union has been much more generous in the distribution of vaccines than many people seem to realise or know, but there's still more to do. But in between, I also want to say what a great job the HSE are doing, in spite of all the challenges and crises. Of course, the Chief Executive of the HSE comes from a local government background, having previously been the Chief Executive of Fingal County Council. Slip of the tongue there. But what a fantastic job they're doing now, and you know, the smooth nature of the vaccine rollout now is great. And I suppose we were so critical a few months ago of how slow it seemed to be taking. Let's be positive now about how fast it's going, how it's accelerating, and how we're catching up with other nations that were nearly gloating in the past. So great job there. In summary, Chambers are delighted to support this programme of activity and to recognise these businesses, which, in spite of the difficulties caused by COVID, have continued to focus on the vital role they play in local communities. And to help in this process, Age Friendly is delighted to announce that the Age Friendly business website is now open. So you can go onto that website, the Age Friendly business website. You can sort it by county, you can sort it by type of business, and you can find out in your neighbourhood the commitments made by these companies to get their businesses age friendly, and get a sense, depending on what challenges you might have, of where the best places to go are. So we hope that it's really successful, and we look forward to building it out more and more. So with that, I'm going to say thanks very much to everybody and hand it back to Catherine.
Thank you, Ian. It makes a great point, Ian, and I know we've had many discussions around it, particularly with the Sustainable Development Goals, because obviously Age Friendly's positioning with the WHO and with the UN Decade of Healthy Ageing emerging at the minute, which we're working very closely on. We believe that Age Friendly straddles all those, so we commend Chambers on playing that role and getting that recognition globally. It's another piece of alignment work for us, and I suppose just to concur in terms of particularly the response to the pandemic with the community response fora. I think it's fair to say that businesses were fantastic. We have Mairead Cranley here from Donegal, who's our regional programme manager. We know the businesses responded significantly well by doing home deliveries, volunteering, putting in supports for people that maybe couldn't get into the shops. So all of those things going forward are going to be important in terms of learning. So we're really commending them for their contribution as well. Before we bring up Kitty, can I just show a nice video? We've put together a nice short video that I suppose there's two perspectives. The Age Friendly business, as Jackie said, has been running for 10 years, and about what makes it a better experience, Minister, when people are shopping in general. But from the pandemic, there certainly is that anxiety. Anxiety is not exclusive to older people. We all have certain concerns about going back, even if we're doubly vaccinated. So what the Older People's Council is, they have put together, I suppose, some feelings in terms of re-emerging and what businesses can do, and we're just going to show a wee highlight of that. So, okay.
So we're here in Castlemartyr today, and we're delighted. It was a beautiful sunny day, to be able to get back out to the businesses, to the shops, and buy things that we haven't been able to get, that we haven't been able to buy. Just getting dressed up and be glad to be out of the house at last. So have your hair done, the hairdressers are open here now, maybe a bit of makeup and things that we need. So yes, it's an exciting time, it's an exciting day today for everybody.
This is my first day out, and do I feel good? I was so nervous starting off this morning. I would like to see the shops be more welcoming to older people.
Now that they're all open again, like they want to be aware that the older shoppers back in, and maybe seats and things that had to be removed maybe during COVID, that they'll put them back in there.
A chair is required here and there in the shops because older people just might have to sit down. A lot of the chairs haven't got arms on them. Therefore, there's a huge difference to the dignity of an older person, to getting up yourself by putting your hands on the arms, to asking somebody for help.
My local supermarket has an age-friendly parking sign up in their supermarket, and it brings you closer to where you need to be. You know, they're small things, but they're so important to older people maybe who are not as mobile as they were maybe 20 years ago, like, you know, and I just turned 80, so I need a little bit of help.
An older person will always need help because A, we might have forgotten our glasses, and B, we mightn't be able to see it anyway, see the price or the size. You know, if an assistant is standing at the counter and not approaching, they've lost a sale, and I've lost a garment that I liked, and just putting it aside because I couldn't read the label.
Sometimes you go to a shop and you have to buy maybe a very big piece of meat, and you just don't want that size of meat. And supermarkets and shops want to be aware of that and make it just used for one person and divide it up for my freezer if necessary.
It can be very awkward for the older person to come back out right now. They haven't been out maybe for a year, and there's so much you can do to make them welcome into your business. I know that some of the business, they have coffee and seating areas outside. Maybe offer them a cup of coffee if it's their first time in, and make them welcome and feel relaxed about coming back out into the community.
Wider aisles. You know, if a person on a scooter or wheelchair has somebody with them, that the person is not behind them all the time. And just for shopping to be an enjoyable experience for everybody.
If our shops are age-friendly, it's not just age-friendly for the older person, it's age-friendly for everybody, and they can enjoy the experience and feel more comfortable and come out more often.
Maybe when an older person goes to a checkout, and I'm sometimes like that myself, you're a bit slow maybe getting your stuff onto the belt, and you're a bit slow taking out your cards and everything, and there's someone beside you. Will you ever move? You know, get on with it. And maybe some of the supermarkets might say, maybe we'll allocate that a little till there maybe for older people, because there'll be enough of them in the shop.
These are small things. They're not big asks, but what a difference they would make to somebody like me.
If I see companies and our supermarkets being age-friendly, and that's where I'm going to go.
So we have all the older people coming back out into our communities. So my message to the businesses is this is the first time you can think of them in a different way to maybe you've thought of them before. Be age-friendly and think of the age-friendly different things that you can do for your business to welcome them back in going forward.
Thank you. I thought that was a great video and really encapsulates what we're trying to do here. I know one thing, I can't wait to go into Shorts in Waterford, or Shaw's, was it, in Waterford? That's where I'll be heading, probably one of the nicest department stores that I've seen in a long time. So my next guest, we've alluded to her before, Can't wait to hear from you today, Kitty. I think you've given all the introduction, but all the way from Longford, representing the national network and the national voice of the authentic older person in Ireland. Please welcome Kitty.
Good afternoon, everybody. Minister Damien English, Cathaoirleach David, Chief Executive Jackie and Ian, and of course Catherine, Sean, and Corja online, all the older People's Council members that are watching online. I have to give them a wave. What a warm, friendly welcome. Age-friendly, you said, but what a warm, friendly welcome I got here today from my good driver, Declan. Stopped outside and was welcomed every step of the way in here, and thank you very, very much. Thank you for inviting me to give a perspective of an older person as the retail and business world reopens. I'm retired now for almost 12 years, so I suppose I should know what old is. But it's not the calendar that defines the ability and the potential of people my age, but how you feel. I have a little plaque on the wall at home, and it says, young at heart, other parts slightly older. Seamus Heaney spoke of his unageing intellect and that he was renewed and revived by further transformations. And I've had a few transformations myself. And last week, you were all aware, I'm sure, that Bob Dylan celebrated his 80th birthday, and he sang about how he'll keep on keeping on. And look at the wonderful people who were there on screen a few minutes ago who certainly are keep on keeping on. An 80th birthday is really an acknowledgement of our vitality. Now, statisticians say that the more birthdays you have, the longer you live. Think about it. Since the onset of the COVID pandemic, we have been patiently living in isolation. We've observing the rules, keeping our distance, occasionally glimpsing family through a window. Shopping, once a way of life, became a distant memory. As Sophie Kinsella said, you could always find something you wanted when you went out to a shop. And Bo Derek once advised that whoever said money can't buy you happiness didn't know where to go shopping. But in March 2020, all that changed, and suddenly we were at home on our own. What did we miss during the lockdown? Was it material things? Researchers have been checking up. Kate Akintill found that nobody is missing material things. We're missing the company of others. We're missing great conversations. We're missing hugs. FaceTime and Zoom can't replicate the spontaneous pleasure of a family lunch. Reality is far better, brighter, more loving in every way. And God knows we have Zoom fatigue. After the repetitive empty days in lockdown and quarantine and closure, would the announcement of the reopening of shops and businesses re-energise us? How would the retail world unfurl? Would there be a lemming-like rush to the shopping malls? I read in the paper that there was talk of revenge shopping as consumers made up for lost time, and companies hungry for business using this spending appetite as a lifelong to boost sales and keep their businesses afloat. Yes, many shoppers were eager to get back to browsing in stores, but not everyone, including myself. There is a change afoot. Older shoppers are hesitant. Though we are vaccinated and rejoice in the reassurance this protection gives us, still, we are not in a rush back to the shops. Could it be that lockdown has curbed our desire to spend by giving us a greater appreciation of things that cost nothing? We don't need all that stuff, and we've been happy without it. So has the pandemic heralded a whole new approach to spending? During the last year and a half or so, we have seen a marvellous outpouring of community spirit. It's been mentioned already here today. The local pharmacy delivered essential medicines to those who lived out of town. The community call volunteers, they delivered shopping in and out of every boreen and here, there and yon, everywhere. They checked in on the neighbours. The postman was God's gift to everybody, our main contact with the outside world at times. Community guarding, ensuring that all was well. There has really been a wave of altruistic thinking with a strong desire to feel useful and help others. And with the government's encouragement to stay local, we are more community focused. So when shoppers choose to spend in local stores, they feel they are supporting the local community and making a real impact on the shop owner's business too. Now, though we are all vaccinated, confidence is scarce. Some of us are just no longer used to being around in groups. This is the first group gathering, and as I say, it's been so warm and friendly. I'm buoyed up by it. Other people permanently fear the dangers of infection in crowded places. So we need new choreographies as we dance back to the realm of retail. And indeed, if we ourselves are to be free and to feel secure in our freedom, it's important to keep a rational perspective on risk. And local businesses can support this return to the community by being patient and welcoming. Chambers of Commerce and local economic offices can lead in this endeavour. And this is where the National Age-Friendly Business Recognition Programme can step in. Now, I congratulate you, Minister English, for supporting this initiative. And I congratulate the businesses here today who have all adopted it. There will be added difficulties for some customers as they adjust to the new norms. We've seen it already there on the little clip. Queues outside the doors of supermarkets are worrying when people don't keep their distance. So clear, large print health and safety signs will help. And as Susan said, extra seating in the foyer or in the shop would also be very welcome. If you wear a face mask and you're hard of hearing and rely on facial expression to help you to communicate, then you should take that into consideration also. And finger dexterity, for those with arthritis, it slows up, say, the payment using the PIN card and the numbers at the checkout. So patience. Lack of smaller portions and packaging for those who don't wish to buy the family-sized items too. And negotiating, there's a new one now, negotiating footpaths with outdoor dining units. That's a new one for us. And of course, we only go to the hairdressers now for maintenance. No outings to dress up for, except for me today, I had the double dress. Fashion shopping, no fitting, that's a real problem. Now, I understand it. But, I recently heard about a lady who was passing the shop window, saw a gorgeous dress, hurried in and said to the assistant, "May I try on the dress in the window?" And the assistant looked at her. He said, "No, ma'am," he said, "you'll have to use a fitting room like everybody else." Many have adopted online click and connect shopping. But there are a lot of older people who are, I would say, digitally hesitant. Some websites are very complicated, and I've been told by my own younger family who are digitally, whatever it is, that you lose a customer for every 30% of your customers for every click you have to make to get to from A to B. Some recent banking changes insist you use a code to confirm it's you. Sometimes I'm not sure it's myself either. But you only get 30 seconds or so to key in the code, which is very little time for an older person who may be operating at a slower pace when going between applications. So keep it simple. And then there's those hidden boxes unticked that mean the order is repeated and you have difficulty ending off or cancelling an order. Now that's a real nightmare. And people who are not interested in being digitally proficient, when HSE were struck, they shook their finger and said, "Now we told you, we knew." But, I don't know that anyone wants to read up about my hip replacement. They're welcome to it. So be prepared, they said. I see a new fridge magnet out too. It says it's an add to cart kind of day. So I suppose we'll have to get used to add to cart. One of the delights of shopping was the chance meeting of a friend and going off for a cup of coffee. Now, on a day like today, that's bliss. But if it's a showery day and you're not sure where the toilets are, then it's another one. But it's a new era, and I'm sure older people, like everyone else, will in time embrace the changes. Protected by vaccines, masked, sanitised, and buoyed up by the welcome of age-friendly staff, we'll dance down the aisles, filling trolleys with fresh produce, or we'll slip into the beautician for that bit of pampering and adjustment, and enjoy the pleasures of a new hairdo. And this, in turn, will help the economy, the GDP, and boost our own morale. And Minister, GDP measures market activity only. It cannot be used to measure social well-being. The economy should also include care. My daughters remind me there's a little country out in Asia called Bhutan, and it measures the national GHI, Gross Happiness Index. Age-friendly Ireland will keep you all informed and boost the GHI. And to all of you able young people, thank you for promoting age-friendly practices, for making life easier for those of us feeling the weight of our years. Customer loyalty will be your reward. And as the business world gets back to business, I like the words of Audrey Hepburn. She said, "As you grow older, you will find you have two hands, one for helping yourself and the other for helping others." Keep safe, stay well. Gunari and Boher live Gulair agus gur míd macha.
Minister English, it'll be hard to follow that. Kitty is a skillful and eloquent orator, as always, and one of the most beautiful speakers I've ever had the privilege of listening to. So thank you, Kitty, for that wonderful insight. Our next guest, our keynote speaker and special guest this afternoon to do the official launch, is no other than Minister Damien English. I'd just like to acknowledge, Minister English, that you've been a long-time fan and friend to the Age Friendly programme. You've served the constituents, the older constituents in Meath, but nationally through your work. It would be remiss not to acknowledge your work under the Housing Options Policy. We have some great developments in Meath County Council through the Age Friendly programme around all those actions, particularly our new Healthy Age Friendly Homes programme, and significant work has progressed under yourself and your colleague, Minister Jim Daly, now Minister Peter Burke and Minister Mary Butler. So you've long time been aware of the needs of the ageing population and supported that work through Age Friendly Ireland and many others. We plan to continue to utilise that support with you, Minister English, across a number of programmes, we hope, and we will hopefully progress from here. We're delighted that you're here today, and I know after you speak that we're going to actually do the formal piece of acknowledging the businesses today. So thank you and very welcome, Minister English.
Thanks, Catherine. Thanks for those kind words. And you're right. I mean, I am very familiar with Age Friendly Ireland and the work you're doing, and it's delighted to be associated with you and to work with you. And I can trust me, I probably get more out of it than anybody else, because a chance to listen to Kitty in a speech like that does us all the world of good. So, Kitty, thanks very much for making the journey up here from Longford, and thanks, Declan, for getting you here safe and well and on time as well, because we were touching on earlier on now with Zoom and online, everything goes on time now, so we have to start these events on time. But, Kitty, thanks very much, because I think you've touched on there a lot of the issues that we're trying to highlight, and you're probably making our jobs easier when someone can present it so well, and the difficulties that we're all facing. And you touched on a number of frustrations that, trust me, we all are bothered with. It doesn't matter what age you are. Some of those things can drive us all mad. So I think you've touched on it well, but you put it across so well. And I think, Ian, we could do it having Kitty on the retail forum. What do you think? I think we'll have to put her on it as a voice for older people on that as well, in your role as chairperson too. So again, thanks to everybody for having me here today. I want to recognise our chair, our Cathaoirleach, David Gilroy, for all the great work you've been doing, David. And I know that it's been a long year for you too, but you made sure that local authorities here in Meath were leading the way in providing the service and reaching everybody in all the ways we've been doing. But I think yourself and Jackie here, Chief Executive, I think you've led a massive team here in Meath County Council. And today's a good day to recognise the response that local authorities have had during COVID. We know as politicians the work you're doing all the other times, but I think people, as Ian touched on it, people really saw what local authorities can do and do on a regular basis over the last probably 14 and 15 months as well. So thanks for that, David and Jackie, and just to recognise that as well. I'm glad, Catherine, that yourself and Sylvia and all the team here are here today as well, and for the work you're doing through Age Friendly Ireland and all the lives you're touching and reaching. But as I think, if nothing else, a reminder to all of us as policy decision makers of what we have to do with our jobs and what we have to do across all government departments as well. And as an alliance, as an organisation, and as a service base here in Meath, you have that national reach, and I think it's growing and developing. But we can see the impact from all your work, not just over the last 10 or 11 years, but certainly over the last 2 or 3 years, where we're all really recognising the importance and the benefit to everybody in the community by being age friendly and thinking that way and being ready and adapting our services for that as well. So again, thanks for all the work as well. Ian, from a business point of view, I think we're very lucky to have a Chamber of Commerce team right throughout the country, but that's led by the National Chamber of Commerce, and yourselves as Ian. I would recognise Ian Talbot as someone that's been a voice for business for many years, but actually takes that journey way beyond that and gets involved in a lot more. I think the Chamber of Commerce around the country benefit from that, the national voice you bring, but to very local issues. I know from talking to Paula here in Meath Chamber, they get a great service from the national organisation, and they're delighted with that, and they're proud to be members as well, and that feeds through. But it also makes my job a lot easier as a minister working in business, working with the retail sector, having that direct and great engagement. People don't know, but Ian sits in forums that we kind of meet nearly every week, I think, at different forums through all the different organisations of government. But one thing that COVID did help for all of us was brought all of us a lot closer and more often. A lot more engagement, because we can do it either online more often or a lot quicker on a phone, because we happen to travel all those thousands of kilometres to reach each other. So there's a lot of benefits, but on saying that, it's been a difficult year for anybody with COVID, and I'm glad that we're kind of back open again. And today's event, the Age Friendly Business Recognition Programme launch and recognition and presentation of certificates, couldn't have come at a better time, as we are reopening and have been a successful probably reopening over the last month, and certainly June brings another big steps in that, with hotels opening again this week, restaurants and pubs next week. Shops are opened back earlier in May, thanks be to God, because it certainly makes my job a lot easier as well, and Ian's, I have to say too. But I think it's been a difficult year for everybody, just trying to adapt and survive during the difficult times of COVID. Thankfully, we got a couple of breathers in between over the year, but the messaging didn't change. And certainly, as we speak to people who are always probably hearing the messaging around stay at home, or that you're in the category that was vulnerable, that was a difficult message to hear repeatedly for 14 or 15 weeks. And that has an impact on all of us, and it has an impact, and that's what dents the confidence. And a part of what Katie has touched on in the video there is about reminding people that it is safe to come back out, and that all the business community have gone to great lengths to pivot what they do, to reach their customers in many different ways during the last year. But now, as they reopen, have invested heavily in staff training, have invested heavily in equipment, have invested heavily in procedures and protocols, so that they're ready to bring people back in a very safe way. And the business community have gone to great lengths to do that, have spent a lot of money to do it as well, but they're committed to doing it and have really stood up, and I think the protocols have been followed extremely well. So I would say to anybody of any age, it is safe to come back out. I know it'll take all of us a little bit of time just to get used to it again and to find our way of how to act normally in an Irish way again, because we've been kind of hidden away and have been asked not to interact the way we normally would. And it's kind of awkward and difficult. And even when you see someone, because you're used to always put the hand out for a handshake or a hug, and now it's kind of a bit awkward. It's what do we do? And it's a bit of it's an elbow or something else, and it's a little bit awkward. And life in general has got complicated over the last year and a half. But I think very quickly we'll get back to being at ease with each other again, and we'll find our way through that. And that's what this is about, with the recognising, not just in difficult COVID times, but all the time, recognising what all our needs are. And as you touched on, Katie, a little bit more time sometimes goes a long way. Recognising who's coming through your door and what they might need and what their needs are. And I think, if nothing else, during COVID as well, we did have time to think, and we had time to look around. And that's why we have a lot more businesses today getting certificates, because they've had time to think and to develop their offering and to change. And we've all done a little bit of that as well. It doesn't mean we'll get everything right. I think we'll have the hands up on that one, but we'll try. And that's the main thing as well as we go ahead as well. So again, just to thank everybody for your time today and for inviting me, and for all those online. Ray, are we counting there? Are we at 400 and something at this stage? Are we? Normally, if a screen here in front of you, you can see how many is online. And I think during Kitty's speech the numbers went up, and during my speech we might ease off, but we'll have to recognise that. But we'll work on that as well. But it's great to be able to reach people all over the country, because this is a national programme, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that we get everybody right throughout the country as well. And I know there's a lot of recognition, a lot of interest in today's awards as well. So, and I meant to mention, Dave, too. I mean, I didn't make it by on Monday, but I got to follow some of it online. I'm delighted to see yourself and Sean Boylan there and everybody else as well, highlighting what's happening in Athy and what people are trying to do, because it's a really, I think, as Catherine, you touched on it, Athy could be it's a really good example of a town that can become age friendly and can really show the importance of being age friendly. And I know other towns around Meath have made a great effort to that as well, with Kells and Navan and so on. But right throughout the country we can see, with local authorities' involvement leading out in this, great changes. And I remember being in Athy when I probably first started politics, I won't say how many years ago, but a few years ago, and one of the first issues was around that the footpaths could be made friendly for wheelchairs, and now that now becomes age friendly, friendly for all disabilities. But the message would be that if you're age friendly, you're friendly for everybody, and you can reach everybody else as well. That's something that we're trying to do as well, so we'll work on that as well. So we've acknowledged the businesses again and all their efforts have made to make their services available to us all during COVID, but now in an age-friendly way to make them accessible on a universal basis, and to all members of society, and especially to older people who do need that little bit of extra recognition as we go along. Like everybody else, many older people are looking forward to a summer where we can get to go back into our shops, our restaurants and hotels, and avail of all the regular services and amenities that we enjoyed before COVID. And trust me, I say from a business point of view, they want you back too, and as quickly as possible, because they've had a very difficult year trying to manage and survive. And Ian might have touched on some of the government supports that were there. I would always say though that that's taxpayers' money back at the businesses, to help reach their customers, their services, but more importantly to create the jobs. And whenever you hear of a business support, it's a job support, and that's what we're trying to do, because all of us need each other, need the economy working well. Absolutely, Kitty. It's very, very important as the economy recovers, that society recovers, and that we have a social recovery, and all the positive changes we've seen, getting back to the basics of looking after each other, and that through that community call, that we build on that and recognise that. And that's why I'm delighted, even at a European level, at a national level this week when we launched the Economic Recovery Plan, a big focus is around well-being and society and looking after each other. It's not just about the economy and the jobs. Absolutely, it's essential. We need them to be able to look after and pay for everything. But we have to constantly remind ourselves there's so much more stuff that we can't put a price on, that we can't value, but it is of immense value to us as well, and that's what we have to recognise that as we go along as well. The Age-Friendly Business Programme represents an opportunity for business to fine-tune their services to a segment of the population who make up a substantial customer base and who have a spending capacity and want to buy locally and appreciate good customer service. And it's that bit about trying to buy locally. And that's something that we're trying to really push out as a message as well, as a government, through the Chambers of Ireland, through everybody else involved in business as well. The shop kind of local, look local. I was delighted that we were here. Sometime we were in last December. We're outside, not inside in Jackie. That time we weren't allowed inside, but we were launching the Look Local campaign that was supported by the local authorities and the LEOs, and that had a really, really good response, reminding all of us of the importance and the benefits of supporting the local communities. And again, that comes back right at us through local businesses supporting all of us again in what they do. And we did see businesses going to absolute great length to reach their customers with their services during the early stages of COVID and right throughout it as well. As we're all aware, the pandemic has had a severe impact on the domestic economy and a pronounced impact on the retail sector. A lot of our conversations is around the retail sector because we're so ingrained in that. But the retail sector, just to remind us, is a massive employer too. Over 300,000 people have a job in the retail sector, and certainly had it before COVID. Sadly, about 50 or 60,000 people during COVID would have been on hold, but hopefully, and in the last 2 weeks we can see it, are coming back into work now and hope to have a future career in retail. But again, that goes back to all of us being able to shop local, but exactly as Kitty has said, that those businesses are also looking out for us and making sure they're ready for our customer, because you want to give them custom, and it's a two-way street, and we all benefit from that as well. But I do think the retail sector is a very, very important future. A big part of that, though, as Ian's touched on, is the town centre development. And I think businesses, communities, local authorities are central to making that happen. It isn't the programme for government, it's one of the top priorities there, that we do get back to town centre developments, town centre first. And we can all see where our towns and villages that might have suffered over 30 or 40 years of decline, or population movement, or just things not happening the way they should, and we want to deal with that. But it'll only happen in partnership with all of us working together. And from an age-friendly point of view, it's really, really important that we do develop town centres and make them a more attractive place to live in, to invest in, and go back into all those brownfield sites and get them dealt with, that people might be able to live there. And again, I'll always refer to it. We see the fabulous facility in Naas. Our own local Meath woman that was involved in as well with the Macaulay Centre, right in the centre of town. Provision of accommodation for people who are ageing, but with all the services that go with it. That to me is the dream situation. And there's loads of opportunity that as we develop our town centres from a business point of view, a retail point of view, that we remember the residential and the opportunity for older people to be able to come and live there again and be able to contribute to our town on a daily and regular basis as well. Again, my department wants to encourage, as I said, a lot of local people to shop local again. That's something that we'll continue to work on with everybody in the weeks ahead as well. The Age-Friendly Business Programme is an excellent way of ensuring that businesses remain valued by their customers as a vital part of our cities, towns and villages. We anticipate, and has been touched on already today, that there will be pent-up demand for returning to shops. But we're also aware that for some that'll be a little bit of a complicated journey, and it will take time. So we need to work on that as well, and remember that too. That we all want to encourage and we want to re-engage in our regular routines and our activities. Being an age-friendly business means that you have put steps in place to encourage older adults to re-engage. And we hear from Kitty, everybody wants to re-engage, but there has to be that extra encouragement. And I said it before, Catherine, at these events, we all want to feel valued, no matter who we are, what age we are. And that's what a really top quality business does, be a local or national one, makes their customers feel valued. And I think the age-friendly mark and the recognition of this certificate shows who they value and how important they are as well. My department's policy includes a focus on identifying and engaging with stakeholders to increase the resilience and productivity of our employment-intensive and locally traded sector. And again, as I said earlier on, that's going to be in conjunction with each other in a partnership with the business community, local authorities, with our customers, all having a conversation. And part of the training for to achieve today's certificate or award is that consultation. It's about actually having the conversation, asking your customers, what do you need, what do you want, do you need the Meath Coat app, and be happy to do it. And to recognise the value in doing that as well, and to respond to the needs, and that's what we're trying to do as well. Again, in the current climate, there's a particular focus of business to respond to challenges and opportunities arising from changes such as digitalisation. Kitty, you've touched on it, others have touched on it as well. Trust me, I'm not the greatest tech man either. It's a journey for all of us, and I would say we would talk a lot probably at our business forums, our retail forums, about the importance of supporting business in that journey. You see the local authority here responded to it as well, and there's a lot of training involved to be able to use all the new technology for anybody that's working in the business, certainly in the retail sector. There's a lot of new opportunities and technologies to copper fast in the future, but it's a journey for all of us, and we would always say it's not just for the business and for the staff, but it's for their customers coming in. And we need to constantly invest. This is something I think Orla Campbell will be touching on quite a lot. Invest in this journey for all of us, that we can use the technologies and are at ease using them, and they become the norm, because that's how we'll be able to encourage a greater involvement of all of us in society, but also our business opportunities will be able to grow because we can win some of that business that's online. Because we know 70% of business from Irish customers disappears out of Ireland when the people go online. And we also know there's going to be an extra 1 million people living here in this country over the next 20 years. So there's a lot of opportunity here if our businesses are adapt and we put the training in place for all of us, customers, businesses, staff and so on. And that's something we're committed to, and we would have referred to a lot probably this week in terms of recovery plans around education, skills development. And a key part of that though is the digitalisation agenda. And Catherine, I'm looking forward to working with yourself on that too, because I know it's in your training programmes and it's something we really need to get out there as best we possibly can as well. Again, the age-friendly programme is highly relevant here, as it will help to support a resilient economic sector that provides services which are attuned to the customer base. Again, trying to make sure that businesses are responding and know the needs of their customers as well, of all ages, certainly from an age-friendly point of view. Having an age-friendly focus will keep businesses competitive and responsive to the needs and demands of an ageing population, but a population that is presently here today and is going to increase well into the future, because we know the stats, we know the numbers, and we're all moving through the generations, and we're all thankfully living a lot longer. In the last century, I think we've seen people are living an extra 30 years alone, and that means that there's a lot more opportunity here if we can reach the needs of people of all ages as well. So in meeting the needs of older customers, businesses can think about the general services that older adults want and need, but also the special products and services that might be more in demand by the ageing population. A couple of examples will be we've seen over the last couple of years a big focus and a big increase in the need for services, for home care services, and a big demand in that, because we very clearly know from all the research that's been done by Catherine and the team and many others in looking at accommodation needs, people want to stay at home. They want to be able to live at home, and that means adapting their houses. It means having care services come in if need be on certain days of the week. But and businesses have an opportunity there to respond to that, be it directly through business, through social enterprise, or through many other ways as well. And that's something that we can do. Other areas, and I know something that you've been very much involved in yourselves, is making the ACORM tablet, which is marketed specifically as a digital device that is there for as an age-friendly product. And again, great response to that as well. And I think people have been really able to use that as well. Not sure, I haven't got my own mother on it yet, but I think it's work in progress. She has got the iPhone, I would say though, ma'am, if you're looking, and a big change as well. But even that alone is a big change for all of us, and it's something we have to work on too. So again, there is a huge demand for new products and services for the ageing population. Age Friendly Ireland has consulted with financial institutions in relation to financial products and services that are suitable for older people, particularly for home adaptations and for energy efficiency measures. And again, you hear other houses this week around trying to support that work with low-cost loans. But again, it's a confidence issue, I think, and with the advice and training that you get through Age Friendly Ireland, businesses will know how to sit down with a person of older years and have that conversation and bring them on the journey of adapting a house, investing in making your house more energy efficiency, because there has to be a trust issue. If you're deciding to spend a lot of money or some of your savings that you've invested in, you want to know that the business is with you on that journey and you can trust them. And that's why you do need a lot of education and training and advice and guidance from groups like Age Friendly Ireland and many others, that we both can understand each other and develop that trust. And I think when you have the mark, the Age Friendly mark as a business and recognition, I think your customers will know that it's safe to do business with you. And when we go on the journeys around the climate adaptation and investing in that and investing in digitalisation, there is the trust issue for all of us, because it can cost money and certainly will cost time. And we need to know who we're working with on a regular basis on that as well. Again, businesses should certainly think about tailoring products and services for the demographic, because there will always be demand. As I said, we're all moving through the different generations, and we know that life expectancy has changed quite a lot in Ireland, and thankfully, again, through everyone's efforts for very many years as well. So again, the message to business is that by participating in age-friendly business, businesses are demonstrating an ethos of the Build Back Better, which is becoming the new buzzword. And I'm not sure who had it first, but I think it actually did start in Ireland, but you hear from everywhere else, but I think it was an Irish one first. But it's important that having used the past year wisely to consult with our older customers and bring in changes to make their services more age-friendly, that we do build back better. And that's, I think, an aim of all of us, be it in local government, national government, business community, and all our own communities as well, that we do try to see what have we learned during COVID. And in many cases, it was just back to basics, back to the way life would have been 20 or 30 years ago. But how can we perfect that now? And how can we make that a permanent feature of life, that we don't just revert back straight away? And that's, again, by having these education programmes, these awareness programmes, that helps all of us to remember that and think of that as we probably drift back into a busier life and that pace again. That I think all of us, it's like when you go on holiday for a week or two, you kind of say, right, I'm going home now and I'm going to change this and I'm not going back to that. And then within a week you're back to the normal way. But I think because COVID sadly was with us so long, in one way, those habits might have changed, and we might people have got used to wanting a little bit more from their life. And I think communities will benefit from that. And that's what we even see with the challenge around remote working. People want to be at home more, they want to be in a position to contribute to their family more and to their communities more, and to be able to engage with each other a lot more, because that was one of the positivities we've seen during COVID, and we want to be able to get that right. And businesses are committed to making that happen too, as employers, where they can and where it's suitable and where it's appropriate as well. The Programme for Government, Our Shared Future, published last year, outlines a vision for age-friendly Ireland. And we know who contributed some of the words around that, and not too far to my right, but we won't mention that. But again, what's in that is committing to building a fair and prosperous, caring and sustainable society. That's something we can all commit to, and I think as events like this, it's important to reaffirm that as well. The State has demonstrated its commitment to meeting this challenge by providing unprecedented financial support to businesses and households over the months of the pandemic. And again, to recognise, as I said, when it comes to businesses, we know that's not enough to replace lost turnover. We know it's not enough to cover all the bills. But it's an assistance to try to keep people and help people survive the year and get back out there and reopen again as well. Be that in family income or business income, everybody's under pressure. But hopefully, if we can drive a recovery quickly through again looking local, shopping local, spending local, and a business being adaptive to the needs of everybody, we can get back there much quicker, and we can see a very quick recovery from a jobs point of view, which assists and helps everything else that we're trying to do as well. I've referenced earlier on the town centre commitments. That's very, very important. I think that will only happen by all of us coming together, playing our part. I think Age Friendly Ireland has set a precedent there of how to do it right. And it's important that when we, later this month or in June, the framework around the town centre first will be published, and that's a giant effort from the Department of Housing and Planning Local Government, and the title's changed again, I must remember that. My own Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, as well as Heather Humphrey's Department of Rural Affairs, all coming together to develop a framework which focuses our minds of how to make this town centre first principle actually happen and impact. And again, that's something we're committed to, but I think it'll only really happen if we're committed locally, and that we'll all do it regardless of what our backgrounds. Again, just to finish up, my background is pursuing a jobs-led recovery, and central to this will be our SME community, who are the backbone of our economy and support so many jobs across the country. Economic recovery will ultimately depend on our ability to secure markets for our goods and services, and we have a market sitting in front of us in the age-friendly market that probably has been underestimated in the past. And it's right, Jackie, quite a lot in that sector have money, I want to spend it. So have money will travel, is that what they say, or will spend. So, but again, it's to recognise that there's different needs there, and to adapt to that and be ready as well. So just to wrap up, again, I want to thank everyone's involvement today, thank Chief Executive Jackie Maguire for all your efforts when it comes to this, not just for today, but right across the board, and all their team here at Meath County Council. I know we can't all be in here today, but they're out there, and we're in offices, and we're working remotely home as well. I want to thank Catherine and Sylvia and all the team as well for the great work that's been done from Age Friendly Ireland. I want to thank Orla Carmody. Orla, we all know the great work you've been doing in driving on the Age Friendly training programme and taking up on some of that work over the last year and a half. But I think it goes well beyond that, and your commitment to this, as we know, goes back for many, many years as well. So thanks for that too, that is important. I want to thank Ian again for making the trip out of Dublin. I had to see Ian in the streets in Dublin, and you know by him, he's mad to get out. Now he's been in Meath, he'll be here again more often as well. And we might spend some money when he's here as well, when he's down there too. So just again, to turn to those who are, and Jackie referenced all the names, to finally mention, Katie, I want to say, first of all, thanks for coming, but also to all the other older persons councils around the country who are logged in today and who are looking on as well, and who are contributing to this agenda and to the work we're making here as well, because it's your efforts that are really making Ireland a really positive place to live in and invest in and continue in and to raise a family in, and to go through older years in as well. That's what it's all about. I want to thank the business community and wish them continued success. Today we're going to talk to Bank of Ireland, FBD Insurance, Vodafone, Member First Credit Union, Kilkenny Design, Specsavers, the Cara Pharmacy and the Dalata Hotel Group as well, who have successfully come through this programme over the last few months, and we're going to present certificates now in a while. Again, I'm glad that we can do that virtually, and hopefully the next round of this we'll be able to do it physically, and we'll have everybody in the room as well. So thanks very much for having me, guys, and keep up the great work, and well done to everybody.
Thank you, Minister English, as always. So we're just going to do the handover now. Minister English, we're going to call the names, and you're going to call them, and in the running order. I think we've got your, all right, and we'll take you up. Yeah, your notes. It's not too often you're like, Miss F, you don't need them. So we'll just do the virtual handover now, okay?
Thanks, guys. Well, first up for their charter and the certificate is Bank of Ireland.
Thanks very much, Minister English. Bank of Ireland and Age Friendly Ireland have a long-standing relationship. We completed the accreditation programme for the first time in 2016. We're delighted to be included again in 2021. Participating gives us a great opportunity to hear directly from our older customers and ensure that when we welcome them into our branches that they're as comfortable as possible. We now have an older persons champion appointed in each of our branches in the Republic. More than 100 of them have completed their training so far this year, and we have our charters in place for those locations. The feedback from our champions has been excellent. They find the training really beneficial, and working with their older customers to agree an action plan has been something that they're all enjoying immensely.
Thank you. And next up we have FBD Insurance.
Thank you, Minister. On behalf of FBD Insurance, we are happy part of the Age Friendly Business Recognition Programme. We are delighted to support this role in building greater awareness and understanding of older persons and their needs. This programme is of great benefit and will help business better serve its important customer group. Thank you.
Next up, over there, Ray, we have Vodafone.
Thank you, Minister English. This is we're very proud today in Vodafone Ireland to have received the charter. We've put a huge amount of work in our retail stores over the last year. It's been a big journey for Jenny, myself, and the team. And the training that we've done has had a huge impact on our retail colleagues out there. And we've done a lot of store redesigns in the back of the insights that we've received from you guys. However, we've a lot more to do, I would say. We've 95 shops across the country. We've refitted about 10 to 15. And I think the next 2 years we'll see huge work in the space to make our stores more accommodating for this age segment, which are a very important and critical segment for Vodafone. And we do a lot of work over the years with smartphone classes, and I think that those hard yards that we did over the years have really come to fruition today. So very proud to represent Vodafone here today, and as I said, this is the beginning of the journey, and thank you.
And next up again, and we first want to thank both Shay from Shay Casting Productions and Raymond for all the effort making this possible to do this virtual ceremony. So today we have, the next one is Members First Credit Union.
Hi, Conor Ralph here. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager at Member First Credit Union. At MFCU, we serve over 60,000 members with 7 branches across North Dublin. We do our best to facilitate the needs of all our members, and this year especially, we've recognised the importance of being there for our older and more vulnerable members. This programme has helped us to understand the most effective ways we can make changes to help our older cohort of members. It's a great honour for our hard work to be recognised, and I want to thank Age Friendly Ireland for helping us to become a certified age-friendly organisation. So on behalf of the entire team at Member First Credit Union, thank you for your continued support.
Next we have Kilkenny Design. Congratulations.
So thank you, Minister English, for our award. Everyone at Kilkenny Design is absolutely thrilled to be involved with Age Friendly Ireland, and we really look forward to working together into the future.
And next up, I present the award to Specsavers.
Thank you very much, Minister Damien English, for this charter. At Specsavers, we've been, of course, providing eye care and hearing care across Ireland for the last 30 years, and obviously serving our older population. And being part of Age Friendly Ireland has given us a great opportunity to help us learn better how we can serve and work with the older population better. It's been a great learning curve for us, and we very much look forward to working with our local town ambassadors who will help us make further changes within our business and within our operations so we can do things better. So once again, thank you very much for the charter, and we look forward to many more years of working together. Thank you from Specsavers.
Now we have the Cara Pharmacy and Beauty.
Thank you, Minister English, and thank you, Age Friendly Ireland, for this participation charter. We at Cara Pharmacy are delighted and very proud to be the first pharmacy group in Ireland to achieve age-friendly status. Working within the community pharmacy sector, we appreciate the value and the importance of every customer, especially our older customers. We also recognise that our older customers have specific needs and wants. Undertaking the training provided by Age Friendly Ireland has helped us to engage respectfully and meaningfully with our older customers through informal conversations, customer feedback to gather information on how best to tailor our services and products. Age Friendly Ireland has a plethora of low to zero cost improvements that businesses can easily implement, from advice on how to interact with older customers, how to improve the physical environment, and how to effectively advertise and market products and services to older customers. At Cara Pharmacy, each of our 12 pharmacies implemented 3 changes tailored to their individual communities, such as additional seating, areas, improve merchandising and signage, over-the-phone payments for products and services. Some of our branches implemented an advanced dispensing system and a prescription delivery service to our older customers. In pandemic, we were also able to offer phone consultations. All of this was particularly important to our older customers who were strongly advised to cocoon and limit interactions due to increased vulnerability. We at Cara Pharmacy are looking forward to continuing to work closely and liaise with Age Friendly Ireland in order to ensure that our older customers have a pleasant, positive and successful interaction with or visit to our pharmacies. We would also encourage all businesses to contact Age Friendly Ireland for support and advice on how to tailor their businesses successfully towards the older customer. Thank you very much.
And lastly today we have the Dalata Hotel Group.
Thank you, Minister English. Dalata are delighted to be participating in the Age Friendly Ireland programme and look forward to the coming years as part of this programme.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks again, Minister English. I think that was great. A very well conducted virtual launch, and I think finally we're just going to close up. I'm certainly not going to reiterate all the thank yous, but on behalf of everybody, just thank you, particularly our online guests. Thank you for your participation today. Well done to the businesses. We wish all the older people the best of success, come back, and society building back better. Remember that when people are out supporting their local economies, particularly when you talk about the Town Centre initiative, we're creating jobs, creating local jobs, and creating better communities for our children and our grandchildren, which is at the heart of Age Friendly. So thank you, everybody, for participating today and for making this a really, really worthwhile ceremony. And lastly, our thanks go to Minister English for the official launch. Goodbye, everybody.